So in this video, we're going to talk about the ultimate crossover begins. King Spawn issue number 50 changes everything. Alrighty then, this is a comic book review of King Spawn issue number 50, brought to you by RatedComics. Let's get to it. So previously in King Spawn, Spawn is dealing with the aftermath of Hell's attack on Earth. So in chapter 1, because this issue is broken down into 2 chapters, 2 days ago, it was a long, hard fought battle with hundreds of innocent people dead. But for now, Spawn needs to find solitude. So Sigor, She-Spawn, and the Scorch are like, that's it? We're just supposed to accept that? He's just gonna up and move? And She-Spawn tries to tell the group like, look, he's tired. We are all tired, so just let him go. I'll go have a talk with him once he settles down, then report back to everyone. In the meantime, we all need to leave and go back to our lives because they're all exposed in the open after the battle with that hellish creature from hell. The whole world knows who they are, or at least they're not in hiding no more. So Medieval Spawn is like, there's too much at risk, Jessica. We need some answers now. Okay, says She-Spawn. Simmons ain't gonna give you much, but take your shot. And Medieval Spawn does take a shot. He wants a word with Al. And he asks Al, you want us to go back to our lives? But you know it's not that simple. Not now. The world will be watching us from now on. So how do we hide our futures when we don't even know who we can trust? Like Monolith and Plague. And Spawn's like, I don't even have time to babysit everyone, to take care of all of you. Either you all figure out how to survive on your own, or you don't. It's your choice. For me, I just need to know who's capable enough to help when this war continues. And Medieval Spawn's like, bro, you'll be wise not to irritate those you may need someday. So in the Team Scorch's safe house, they're all having a meeting. Terry Fitzgerald tells them that the US military were attempting to track all their positions, not knowing any of you guys were part of the attack. And Mark Rosen's like, we're not part of the attack. We have video proof showing that we were trying to stop the giant beast. We can show you. And then Mark Rosen shows him, and Terry's like, okay, as you can see, we put into place long ago anti-tracking signals that scramble any attempts by any of your enemies. Now, I'm not saying any government is an enemy, but until we negotiate with them, all of your whereabouts need to remain a secret. And Monolith is like, well, what if they deal with the villains first? And Terry tells him, well, we'll deal with that later, but right now, you're right. We can't trust anyone until we know who might be compromised. So Monolith tells him, yeah, that should include all of us too. I mean, we haven't vetted anyone. To assume automatically those who showed up at the battle are heroes would be a mistake. Like Plague, he did nothing but watch. Like he didn't care if we won. And when I tried talking to him, he just snarled like some wounded animal. I have to tell you, I don't think that thing is even human. And Jim Downey's like, strange comments. Can't see the same thing about you, Monolith. And Mark Rosen's like, okay, you guys stop fighting. I mean, we're on the same team right now, and there's plenty enough to go around. So until we figure it out, we don't want to be put at odds with one another. And Mark does confirm, I did see Plague going around touching a bunch of us. It does seem odd, so I'll put him on the same frequency as our enemies to see where they all go. So Terry's like, our bigger concern, I think, is monitoring the rest of the world's reaction to all of you. As you can imagine, a bunch of fear and misinformation is circulating the internet. That kind of emotional reaction can distort how authorities want to handle you. And Jim Downey's like, they can't stop us even if they wanted to. And Terry's like, yeah, they don't know that yet. So Monolith is like, so we just do what Spawn wants and walks away? That's some bull jive. So Monolith and Jim Downing leave. And then Terry's like, Mark, I gotta ask you a question if you don't mind. Jessica seems aggressive. Al, well, he's on a whole nother level of bossing people around. How do you work with him? How do you put up with this? To honor someone I lost, says Mark. And Terry's like, oh, I didn't know. So Mark tells Terry it's okay. Her name was Susan. Though at one point I thought we might actually get married, but she started getting stressed about everything, started feeling alone, and I didn't notice it until it was too late. Emotionally, then one day I came home and found her dead in the bathtub, and that is a reference to Spawn issue 228. So, way to go, editorial notes, to throw it back like chiropractic like that. So Terry tells Mark, I wish I could tell you that I can't imagine what you've been through, but I can't. I lost my lover too, and as much as I love to tell myself I've accepted it, that I need to be stronger for my children, I'm angry. Every day she's not here because it didn't have to be like this. They didn't want her. They wanted him. And Mark is like, who's him? Al, Spawn. whatever you want to call him. They wanted him, so they used my wife to get his attention. Then they killed her like collateral damage, nothing else. So Mark wants to know, was it heaven or hell? And Terry tells him it was hell. Why would they harm your wife to get to him? Al was married to her once too. Wait, says Mark, your wife was Wanda? Yeah, they don't give a crap who I was. She was just bait for him. Cold-blooded as that sounds, why do you think Spawn keeps telling everyone to stay clear from their loved ones? And Mark is like, I get it. It makes sense why he's always so pissed. But still, that doesn't give him the right to push people around. I've heard how he treats you. And Terry's like, yeah, don't worry about it. I can handle him. We go way back anyway. So Mark tells him, hey, remember, we're meeting tonight at 11, all right? So I want to go over my reports with you. There will be about 6 of us. I'll send you the coordinates. Terry gives him the acknowledgement, but for now, he has his twin children to look after. So across town, Spawn is going to work, and he tells his vampire, that's not the answer I was looking for, and I don't have time for your freaking incompetence. And then the vampire's like, well, what the hell's up your ass, all right? I'm still trying to do my work. I'm still trying to work my way in. Then why say you were already there? Because the vampire says, because if I told you I wasn't, it wasn't what you wanted to hear. Says Spawn. All your powers are back? That means they'll start planning. So the longer you take getting inside, the longer they have to hide. They're going to hide, all right, but not because of you. Something else is spooking them real bad. And you want to hear some crazy stuff? Heard one of them saying they might see if you could help them. And Spawn's like, I'm trying to help your vampires, not heaven. So the vampire flinches as Spawn extends his arm, not knowing Spawn is just there trying to help him to his feet. Then without uttering another word, the crimson caped hero departs because Spawn knows that if heaven and hell have begun to retreat, that means something's about to happen and he needs to find out. So at 10:43 p.m., this guy tells Mark Rosen, wait up, what's your hurry, Mark? And Mark is like, do I know you? No. But I know you, and I need you to come with me. And Mark is like, nah, screw off, bro. And this guy's like, I'd watch myself, Mark, if I were you. Or should I say, medieval Spawn. Then the stranger presents the ancient helmet Mark's alter ego wears. That's mine. How did you get it? Mark snatches it away from the man's clutches about to make his transformation. When he finally wakes up, he'll realize he never completed that task. And he also will realize that he wasn't the only hero that was ambushed that night. Others were collected along with him. And at 11:26 p.m., Terry's like calling Mark, where the hell are you? Give me a call. I've been waiting for everyone nearly 30 minutes at this place. You text, but no one's here. And that is the end of this chapter 1 right here for King Spawn, issue number 50. So now we go into the second chapter of King Spawn issue number 50. Even though it's chapter 4 when we started with chapter 1, I imagine we'll get chapter 2 and chapter 3 in Gunslinger Spawn and the Scorch when they get to issue number 50. But we see this boyfriend and girlfriend cooking dinner, and they're having a conversation about one of her friends is going camping, and they just can't handle that camping because it's kind of too bougie for them or something like that. So the doorbell rings, the boyfriend goes off to answer it, and he tells her it's probably just a package drop off or something. So minutes pass, and she's looking for Isaac. Where are you? Who is at the door? She walks around, she calls upstairs, then checks outside. He's not there, and she's getting pissed like, Isaac, I still need your help in the kitchen. But we see him right there. And 10 minutes pass, and you can see something's off with him. And she tells Isaac, you're awfully quiet. Something wrong? And why don't you take off your jacket, you weirdo? It's like 76 degrees in here. And he gasps, She's like, what is wrong with you? Why are you acting like that? If you're hot, then take off your jacket. Here you go, relax. I can finish this myself. He grabs the knife, backhands her, and also pierces that knife inside of himself. Horrifyingly, she watches as her boyfriend carves his own chest open as he shrieks like some wailing animal caught in the maw of its enemy. But the final nightmare's vision she sees of her boyfriend is watching his entire body split in half as cartilage, bones, and organs explode in a splatter of red across her kitchen. For the rest of her life, this woman will intuitively flinch every time she holds a knife. And her friends are going to ask what happened with him. She's not going to know what to do but break down in tears because this image is horrifying and you know she's going to need therapy after that. But tonight though, her body simply can't cope. She blackouts. As the monster stalks around there, there's no indication it is there for anything other than to satiate its hunger. But if that were true, she'd already be dead. And this voice tells Plague Spawn, taking over her won't solve your problem. Her body will burn out as fast as the others. You need a more permanent solution given how unique you are. You really do live up to your name, Plague. Now, who that person is? That person is known as Mammon, once a servant of gods, but cast out with the rest of his kind, the Forgotten. But his soul was the only one sent to hell, where he rose in power to eventually control both the third and the sixth spheres of that dark dimension. Yeah, that's that boy right there. So until you find your answer, you're nothing more than a pet. And Plague Spawn's like, man, boy, shut up. I'm going after smoke. And all Mammon has to do is just wave his hand, stops Plague Spawn right there in its tracks. And all he can do is just freeze like his pet that he is. But you could be so much more than just a dash of intellect. You understand that, don't you? It's why you keep trying so hard to find the perfect host, one that won't just burn up. You're the only Hellspawn not giving a human host by Malbosia. That gives you an X factor, Plague. Now, you need to find a human with the same thing because taking over another Hellspawn doesn't work either. I know where to find one, but you ever make a threat towards me like that again, it'll be your last time you make a threat. We clear? Good. Now go be a good pet and wait till I return. And Plague has to show a little bit of defiance, like, come on now, I can't go out like no bitch, so I gotta slash you a little bit. And Mammon is like, okay, well done. Very few have ever drawn blood from me. But Plague Spawn backs away, and Mammon tells him, I can tell you're skeptical. Fine, but go discover it for yourself. I'll be waiting. And he disappears into the shadows. So 1 week ago, because that panel right there was talking about 2 weeks ago. So 1 week ago, Spawn, he's been staring down at his city for almost an hour, wondering how everything was changed since the world discovered it was filled with hundreds of beings endowed with powers that seem impossible. Now, he'll have to contend with the reaction of humanity as well as continue his battle with the Shadow Players, a group that wishes he and all the Hellspawns were dead. He hears a creak in the back. He calls out for Jessica. She just stands there in the shadows. Silence. I'm not in the mood right now, girl, so what you need from me? And no, I ain't in the mood for clapping right now. But she's not thinking about clapping. And for the first time, he sees the color of her eyes. It tells him this thing is some type of replicant. A hiss reverberates as his black, sinewy spikes pierce Spawn, hitting him in a dozen parts of his body at once. Spawn curses himself for falling such a childish trick. How could you fall for that, bro? You're Spawn. But whatever this is, it has a strength he's rarely felt. It almost feels like Spawn is fighting him almost, and Plague Spawn tries to pin Spawn down, and Spawn's like, boy, you know I don't play that shit. The creature is a Hellspawn, the wildest one ever created, so Spawn needs to snuff it out now before it's too late. They throw hands and he gets murked. Well, not murked, but Spawn is like, hold up, bro, I can't let you have at me like that. No way. Back and forth they go, neither one relenting, both absorbing massive abuse to their bodies. And Plague Spawn looks like he's about to get the upper hand with those hands right there as Spawn goes back like that. But Alcem has learned in the military that the best way to win is to use your enemy's weapons against them. And in this case, Spawn would also be breaking that one rule all those wearing the symbiote costume swore to as he pierces Plague Spawn in the back looking like that. Hellspawns do not kill Hellspawns, but you know what? Today might be a new day, and that is the end of King Spawn issue number 50. The ultimate crossover begins, and this issue changes everything. One, I want to know what that thing was that murked Mark Rosa and the other Scorch members like that. Two, what's up with Plague Spawn? And is Mammon going to be in the play? We don't know. And how come it skipped from chapter 1 to chapter 4? Let's see what chapter 2 and 3 are about when Gunslinger Spawn and the Scorch come out. But with that being said, what you guys think of this comic book, comment below, let me know. And also link in description if you wish to add this comic book and or any of our other limited print Rated Comics exclusives to add to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. With all that being said, thank you again for watching. Until the next upload.